Good evening and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the think show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the indigenous one. Why you're told you're African? You're gonna eventually have to come to that conclusion. Why would these people tell you you're African? What's the purpose of it? Why would these people tell you you're something that you're not? What's the purpose of it? See, this is not me relaying this to you. You're going to have to figure this out. What would I take a person who looks like my mother? Why would I take and write songs calling her a bitch or calling her a hoe? Why would I do that? Come on, why would I do that? Your mama who took care of your ass when you got to the planet. And let's be realistic. Most mothers are cool. Most mothers are cool. Now, are there some that's not? Hell yeah. But we always gotta look for the sun. We always gotta look for the highest point. So if you ain't got a mother, you got an aunt, you got a sister, you got a niece, you got a daughter, you got somebody. And this is coming from a male's point of view because obviously I'm not a female. There has to be somebody there to bring you balance. Because that's all it is. That's all we are as people. We're here to bring, we keep our planetary habitat in balance. So no meteor come crashing through here. All we got to do is look at the land and tell that this been hit a few times. Those of you who know America know what I'm talking about. So why do those things happen? It happens because the people aren't keeping themselves in planetary alignment. They're just totally away from nature. Totally away. Totally away. Don't know the first thing, don't care. And arrogant about it. But why are you told you're African? Because this whole thing has been in the mix for a minute. Why are you told you're African? See, these are things we don't talk about, we don't discuss, which is why we get no intelligence, because we don't push ideas. We don't think. We just talk about the same old coon shit every time somebody has a mic in front of their face. If you're a people of a certain land, aren't you supposed to be doing certain things? I mean, people in other lands, India, you put them in front of yourself. Why do the people of Central North America, why do they do that to themselves? These are questions you gonna have to answer. Because if you look at the so-called African American, Black, Negro, colored, American Indian, savage, Everything that they always call you is to get rid of your ass. Now, they have a problem doing it if you have a connection with nature, because nature don't fuck around, and you all know it. But when you help out in it, when you help out in your own destruction, you can't blame nobody else. I mean, for real, cuz? For real? And then other people see that you do that to yourself and they take full advantage of you fucking each other over. And we with a smile, we play around. We act like this isn't serious. It's real serious. Why did they tell you you're African? And this is why I say, remember, this is from his teachings, all his to this day. Now, in your mind, have a map of the world that you've been shown, but it's a flat map. If you look in the center of the map, if you look at where the equator goes, the equator means what? The equator means what? You're at the center of the planet. It's the sun shines on that part the hardest. This is, in their teachings, okay? Just follow me for a little bit. We'll get back to the, what we're talking about a little later, but I just want to show you something, how we're trained to move away from ourselves. And I mean, by now it should be obvious, but we just keep on acting like it's okay. Why are you told that you're African? Now, the sun shines on the equator. So those are the darkest people because the sun shines on them more. I mean, it's just that simple. Why didn't they tell you were from Hawaii somewhere? Why didn't they tell you were from Australia somewhere? Why didn't they tell you that you're from Indonesia somewhere? Why didn't they say that? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves if we want to find truth. Ain't nobody going to tell you. You got to find it. You got to find it. Ain't nobody going to tell you nothing because shit, half of us don't know. You're searching. That's all we're all doing. That's what everybody's trying to do, search. But the people from the other side of the world, what do you know about them? All of them. I mean, this is you should know. You took them in. What's going on with the other side of the world? What do you know about them? What is the one thing that they've shown from Africa, Asia, and Europe? What have they shown? That they want to take somebody else's shit. What kind of people are we? We think there's an abundance for everybody because it is. That's how we think. These people are just raping and grabbing and taking. And the people who call themselves African American, totally confused when you talk to them. Have you heard of that ADOS movement? I mean, come on. This is a brother who has a degree and still confused. You listen to all these cats talk about all these sects, but they never come under their own umbrella. Why? Why are you told you're an African? Yeah, come on, somebody. Why are you told you're African? Come on, I know we got some we got some hard hitters in the chat. Why are you told you African? You could have been from anywhere in the world. In the Pacific, you've seen Hawaiians, you've seen those brothers that live in Fiji, brothers that live in Australia, but you've seen them. What? They every look the same. Why they tell you came from Jamaica? Why they tell you come from Brazil? Why they tell you come from Central America? Why did they tell you come from Africa? You have to ask yourself that question. And then it'll start making sense to you. The reason they tell you from some far, far away land is so you can psychologically, I don't want to say spiritually. What is it when say whatever you're doing, let's say it's a football game or a basketball game. Let's say you want the Lakers to beat the Clippers. You put your energy behind the Lakers beating the Clippers. You're giving something to it, even if it's that soul, that what you're giving up. You call it what you want to call it, but you're giving something to help whatever happens happen. You're seeing that on the planetary scale now. But that's what it is. What do you say? I don't say nothing. And that's how most of us are. That's what most of us are. You're a part of this planet. Everything resonates with you. You don't pay attention to it. You pay attention to all this bullshit that's put in front of your face. Movies are over. I mean, that's good. But these other smaller things have taken control of the control what people see. And what I hear, that's what they're playing over all this Netflix. When I saw Netflix stock $475, I was like, what? How much of that you think Negroes put in? We have to ask ourselves these questions if we're going to figure out how we're going to beat this thing. We just like it because we can. We don't know why. We just do. We ain't got nothing else to do. That's the attitude of your average Negro, African American. They have no plans. They're waiting for the TV to tell me if I'm lying. If I'm lying, we can talk about NASCAR. How come the Negro in America hasn't said, now this is the place where everybody want to run to? Everybody running over here. Why? Because they do better here than they do at home. And you never ask yourself, you're at home, why you're doing so bad. You never ask yourself that question. So the brother asked, well, what do you mean, ADOS? America, what do you mean? You talk about it like it's not relevant. I'm like, it's not. It's dumb. Why is it dumb? What does ADOS mean? America, and descendants of slaves? Negro, most of us wasn't slaves. What do you think people are running for to get the fire that you have that you don't have to? You don't do that. You create so much that I can come over here and throw a ball in the air and, make you jump up and get it. And that'll be a show. People pay to see it. This is the so-called African American. This is the so-called black. Black. You call yourself nothing. And and other people see it, they be like, damn. And we act like we so emotionally attached to bullshit, we simply can't change our minds. We can't change our minds. We can't do something else. But we tell our children to do it all the time. Matter of fact, we demand it. But we won't do it. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Diet, everything. We just go along with it. Most of us do that. I would say 97, 98. What? Let's be real. You have a nation of people that can't feed themselves. But other people are running from other countries to come over and get the shit that you run away from. What do you call that? Stop acting like it ain't happening, because it is. Why are you told you are African? See, you know them brothers that talk all that African shit? You know how come they talk that shit here? Because they can't talk it over there. And you who follow them are too dumb enough to figure it out. God damn. If you African, go home and get busy, nigga. They owe you for selling you. How come y'all ain't put up a suit for that? How come y'all ain't telling the Africans that's coming over here to take a DNA test with you so you can find out that you're their people? How come y'all ain't doing that shit? And you break them niggas off millions, and it gets you nowhere. And you so dumb you don't even see it. This is what I'm saying. You better look at it in reality. You better look at this shit in reality. Not how you want it to be. Not how you wish it to be. How it is. You're not looking at people leaving their homes, uprooting their families, traditions, to come live next door, to come open up a business around you that doesn't tell you anything. But the so-called African American, you know, America Gold King says there's no such thing as an African American. He's right. But check out what he says. There's no such thing. Keyword no. It's nothing. It's nothing. The African American, that's black. Black accomplished that goal. You put so much emotion and vigor into the word black, you wouldn't even put it into the tribe that your people come from. Yet you want to stand up and talk and confuse the people. You're out of your mind. How come you didn't call yourself? How come you didn't call the Chickamauga? How come you didn't call the Accomax? Why didn't you put the love and all that you put in the word black? Why didn't you put it into your people? And we like an answer, please. We like an answer, please. You know nothing about your family, your culture. That's how much you've been ripped away from it. I know dudes that will get a brand of a Greek symbol in their ass. Don't seriously. The mind fuck is real. Seriously. They got you calling yourself everything but who you are. and you cool with it, man, you would defend it. And then when somebody like me raises his hand and just asks you a question, you mad at me because I asked you something that somebody told you something and you took it. You won't even measure yourself against nature. The average Negro won't even measure himself against nature. Check that out. The very thing that keeps you alive, you run away from it. I got sisters telling me they got grandfathers and fathers who fished with no fishing pole. Nigga, fishing pole? What kind of hoe are you? Go catch them. That's how you used to be. Now you can't even swim. Amen? Amen? And you think you think this is a game? You cool with it? You can do whatever you want to do? Seriously? This is where we at. This is where we at. You just saw that 68 of the Negroes who voted for what you got now. You're going to see all kind of crazy shit happening. Why did they tell you you're African? Remember, and we'll only go back to the 1900s because I don't want to get back too far in history because it starts to, we have to do it another time. You don't want to, because there's so much information that we don't know about because we believe certain things that happen. And we don't know where it comes from. We don't know how is a nation of people going through the terms colored, Negro, Black, and African American. How are people? I mean, Italians, they don't do that. Other people don't do that. Why are the people always, their identity is always changing? Why are you told you're African? David Corey got it right. We killing each other. You have to kill each other because that speeds up the process. Then they don't get the karma. So whatever you do, anybody who knows anything about nature, everything you do, you're going to run into it eventually. What you do comes back to you. Everybody know. I mean, you should know that. You should know that. Everything that you do come back to you. Yeah, your status. So American Gold King says our status has changed every other decade. But you know what, American Gold King? This is the thing. You're not the one changing it. How do you let somebody else change your status every decade? See, these are the questions we have to ask. We don't want to talk about it. I don't know. All this stuff happening. This brother just told you our status has changed every decade. How is our status changing and we're not changing it? And we don't even question it. We just go, nigga, I gotta watch that game, cuz. How is our status changed every decade? And we have nothing to say about it. And really don't it really, we don't care. We don't really. So that's how it is with a lot of people. But when you talk to those people, when they talk about their children and grandchildren, you can tell why they're like that because how they are. Our parents, our grandparents, we wanted to get into another culture. We wanted to integrate into another culture. We didn't want to be us no more. Well, let's be for real. So this is when a lot of people stand up and talk. They sound dumb because, dude, we trying to be something totally different. Many of us walked away from our homes. We wanted to go to the city. We wanted to build their empire. We didn't want to build ours. Now, it looks like we should have built our own empires, don't it? You got brothers who can take a car and make it fly. You got brothers, just regular old brothers. No, he wouldn't get no play. Just regular old dude, eat cold French fries and shit like that. That can make a car fly, and this brother doesn't get nothing. The community is not hiring him to teach their children. You know why? Because we want to go to school. And ever since you've been going to school, you've been some of the dumbest people the earth has ever seen, right or wrong. App Trader, thank you. We don't have time to play. We don't have time to bullshit. We don't have time to lie. We don't have time to believe. You better know. You better know. Babies know. Babies know. When you came here, that you knew. How come you don't know now? Because you were taken away from it. Remember, most of your parents come from the South. Who were their parents? Their parents were some of the people who probably went to the big cities to try to make it in the big cities, because after the Wall Street, blah, 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 they needed a whole bunch of manpower to build stuff. And they went to these small southern towns, and those towns are still there and totally abandoned. Nobody been there since you left. There's farms that brothers used to have 1,000 acres that we just walked away from because we wanted to work at a car wash. See, that's what we don't like to talk about it. Shh, be very quiet. That's the dumb shit we do. Then when it rolls around to this, we like, well, what happened? We playing. Males and females, it ain't none of that. We have to have balance. Why did they tell you you're an African? And what do Africans say about that? Africans say, come over here and try to get this land if you want to. We'll show you what an African is. Where's all these cats teaching your children that they're not part of this land, but you fund them and make sure they live large? Why does the Negro always do that? How come the Negroes in Mississippi don't say, you know what? We got to have a whole education for our own kids. Let's do that, and let's do it online, blah, blah. How come that's not done? Simple stuff. Why don't we do that? Why don't we think of the best things for ourselves and do them? Seriously. Come on. We can do it for somebody else. If Walmart say they was open up in a distribution center, how many people would be out there with applications? If some brother said that, we wouldn't even. How come we don't have our own grocery stores where we put the products on the shelf? Every product in the shelf comes from us. How come we not doing that? How come we don't believe in that? How come Jesus ain't came down and gave us the blueprint? I mean, you always bringing Jesus up. What's up? I mean, shouldn't we? I mean, civil rights movement is sitting down. What you leaving for your kids? Don't say stuff that these white boys that you done got from these white boys, like this money and stuff, because they pimping you out of that with this nursing home thing. I mean, damn, we can't even take care of our parents. This is the Negro. This is the African American. His mom and daddy dying. He assigned the house over to the company that's going to take care of him, his mother and father in their final days, instead of everybody's family. Everybody's family has a nurse, and she's just the nurse for the family. I mean, damn, we can't even do that. This is the African American. This is the black man. This is the first man on the planet. This is what he do. I'm just saying it. I know I'm an asshole. I'm sorry. This is what they do. And I just say they do it, and y'all mad at me. Right? Why did they tell you you're an African? Because remember, this whole thing, it just didn't start. It just didn't start in 87 with the name. It just didn't start with the African presidents coming over here, going to your universities that you supposedly, well, you really didn't, to train them to go back and run their country. We don't even think of it like that. We don't think about how we were trained. We don't ask questions who the people that taught us. We don't ask ourselves, well, who taught them? We just we throw our weight behind anything. As long as it's dumb, we with it. We don't think about it. We don't go in a sweat. We don't go out to nature and contemplate on it. Whatever somebody tells us, that's how it goes, right or wrong. Whatever anybody says, we just go with what they say. See, that's the definition of American. You must exalt them. Like, you ever see those pictures in Germany when they hold their hand up? They're giving allegiance. They're saying, I'm with you. This is what the African American does with everybody else. He doesn't do it with himself. Because remember, 1828 dictionary, and those of you guys who have it know, it says what? The copper colored people, and that's almost everybody you know. I mean, this is their land. Who are they talking about? You. We won't even put up a penny to our hand and be like, they talking about us. We don't even do that. It says that's who the Americans are, but now applied to Europeans and their offspring or their dependents or whatever it says, something like that. But now, what do you mean? But now, how did you become them? We don't question that. We don't care. Just what you gonna give me? You notice that's how the African American does. That's how you hear all the black people do. Nobody's done nothing for us. They aren't supposed to do anything for you. They're over here doing for themselves. Shouldn't we be doing the same thing? Well, boss said we should be doing for him. That's the African American. That's the African American, right or wrong. Jay Indigenous say this. Exactly, Corey, but my mom kicked me out a lot, and now I'm on my own trying to figure things out. And a lot of times that's what brothers need to be. Because, we don't, I try to get my little 7, 8-year-old nephew to do some stuff. His mama cussed me out because I tell him to tie his shoes. I'd get the shit slapped out of me if my shoes was untied when I was 5. Tie your shoes. Stop looking just like a ran down bum. But kids don't get that till later, and it becomes a problem in life. I had my first job at 7. He don't supposed to be working. He just supposed to be playing video games. This right? Right? This is you're seeing more young men go into that position. Your mom ain't kicked you out, brother. How a bird kicks his baby from the nest. You've been on this planet long enough. You know everything. You gonna have to learn. You can't keep taking these having these babies 40 years old, 50 years old. They don't work. It doesn't do anything for the group. Just because you can rap to some music, that's nothing. You get pimped out of that. Why did they tell you you're African? I mean, why did Marcus Garvey come? And Marcus Garvey, so people say, well, how do you know Marcus Garvey? He was in England first. I said, well, look at his handwriting. And they go, oh, like this. Come on, y'all, think. And we refused to do it. I mean, look, I know people 60, 55 years old that haven't had an organic thought in their life. And y'all know I ain't lying. So I want to take what you guys say, because it's very important what you guys say, because you see stuff that probably a lot of people don't see. So I want to share some of your thoughts and some of your ideas. We're going to do this for about 10, 15 minutes. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to tell you why you're told you're an African. Whisper Shout says, trying to be rappers and basketball stars are bum sports. Okay, so check out what this brother said. And I'm with him. How does a basketball player make $43 million a year and you can't get a raise to $15? That's how they pimping you. And the basketball stars, what are they doing? So yes, some of them are doing something. Yes, a lot of them are doing something. But what are all of them doing? They giving boss that money back. Let's stop trying to act like that ain't happening. Let's stop trying to act like that's happening. Shouldn't brothers be controlling at least the G League? We just always want to work for them. And you have one of the things that we fail for, and this is one of the biggest thing I think we fail for. It's a whole lot, but this is one of the biggest thing we fail for. We fail for that minority shit. We fail for that minority shit. And I want to ask everybody a question. Where do you go in the world and the indigenous people are the minority? I'll wait. Where do you go in the world and the indigenous people are the minority? David Corey says minority means one who needs to be looked over. I mean, damn, the definition right there tell you. Selena Morel says nowhere. You're supposed to be the most intelligent, got the finest cars, biggest houses, biggest TVs. You ever notice with a Negro, he's nothing without the items that he bought from somebody else? That's how you know you nothing with all. Nothing without the things that he bought from another people. Matter of fact, most African Americans, most stuff in their house is made in China. Almost zero stuff they make as a nation. How, like India, they might make tables from the wood from their land. The Negro in America doesn't do that. Matter of fact, if you suggest it to them, they'll look at you like you crazy. Selena also says we're the majority. We're the majority. So that's how do you know? So you say to yourself, don't ask nobody else because they may not know. You ask yourself, this is to put up the thing, we are the majority. And so then you're gonna have old Shine come by. What you mean we the majority? How you know we the majority? Because other nations come around and go to you to make their money because you're the majority. And then the Shine will then sit down and shut up. And that's what you have to do to them. You have to, when she says we're the majority, you have to give facts on what you see every day. You see what everybody else see. What you say. And we don't never say nothing because we always waiting for somebody else to tell us something. That's the African American, right or wrong? Right or wrong? So you're the majority of people over here, but you're broken down in let's see how many groups we can get out of. Christian, Muslim, Hotep, Black First, Greek, Hebrew Israelite. What else? That's six. That's six off the bat. That's how many sects you're broken up into. And you wonder, that's what I'm saying. You have to want to vomit. You have to. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but come on. For real, cuz? You gonna go out like that? Moors, 7. Hey, so truth. I'm sorry. I forgot about those. J.T. Smith said, America, those slaves cats. That was that 8. We broke down into all these groups. Damn. Can you imagine how much energy is being wasted just on that shit alone? I mean, seriously, that's where we at. Hey, so stop blaming people. Stop saying people ain't giving us stuff. You sound like a little bitch. Ain't nobody supposed to give. You supposed to be on this planet to make it right for yourself and your people. You don't want to do that. We just named 8 groups that you would rather do that before you do it to your own mama. Amen. Amen. This is what an African American is. Sorry. I know y'all don't be talking about us. That's what African American is. Black, Negro, ADOS, whatever you want to call it. African Americans ain't Africans. You hear? This your home. This your home. But somebody got you believe, and it just not goes by countries, people. The people here are Africans. No, it's on a personal level too. They teach you that you somebody else. Shit, the wig. What? All these sisters wearing these wigs. What does that mean? They wish they were somebody else. Damn. I mean, stuff like this we don't even figure out. We don't even think about it. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. The problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger because we won't open our mouth and say nothing. You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that. Right now, there are hundreds. There are thousands of people out there on the land. I got a whole new respect for brothers who shoot rabbits because they can't catch them. But the brothers down in Florida catch them. You know, like the brothers going fishing with their hands. Who are those people? Those people are you. And you run away from it trying to be somebody else, and the world recognizes it, and they take advantage of us, and we look dumb. I'm serious. People ask me all the time, dude. I said, hey, can I come to I said, where you from? Wherever they're from. I say, hey, can I go there and do what your people are doing over here, over there? He said, hell no. You know what we do? It's for everybody. That's how the Negro does it. Right? So True said the African American lets his enemy tell him what his identity is, as well as who his enemy is. See? Okay, so if this brother knows this, and I ain't stupid. So that's what I'm saying. That's what be validating what I'm saying. God damn, y'all, it's right in front of your face. And we just keep putting our head in the sand. Why did they tell you you're African? And when did they start putting it in the lexicon? When did they start pushing it on you? Mainstream. Right? Because you got to look at how things done. They just can't do anything. Like same thing is going with this corona thing. People ain't getting it because people know about Tuskegee. Huh? We still reeling from Tuskegee and you want to hit us again? Huh? And we're supposed to be so dumb, and many of us are. Let's stop pretending that we not. Really? We cool with it. Trying to get you off the planet. Why? They don't need you no more. See, that's what your people who call themselves black, they tell you. These people are not trying to do something for you. They have people from other countries who they have come over here to be a buffer because you are outgrowing them in the country. We don't see it. I don't see it like that. Well, what do you see it like, Negro? I don't see it like nothing. Why are you talking? We don't question anything. We don't question nothing. And then send our kids into the world with that. Nothing. So this whole Africa thing, they plan 100, 500-year increments what they're going to be doing. And when they first got over here, first they wanted to just trade. Then they saw how the people was living and they wanted to stay. And you was with it, you cool. Long as they give me they women, long as they give me some guns, I'm cool with it. Then they turned the women and the guns on your ass. And you love to sit up and talk all this bullshit. That's bullshit. Please get out of the way. The youth don't want to hear that no more, dude. You didn't tell them Jesus is coming and all this, making it where they don't have no say in their own everyday's affairs. That's what you did, Negro. Telling them they Africans, giving away their great-grandparents and their great-great-grandparents' inheritance. What did those people build before anybody got here to pass on to you? You telling them they African, they don't even know what's theirs. And you sitting up talking, huh? When you're asked a question, you try to change the story. Huh? What? You're playing. And like So True said, the African American lets his enemy tell him what his identity is, as well as who his enemy is. We don't question that. We don't question, well, how do we go from Black to African American? How did that happen? Who did that? Are Germans still Germans? Are people from Spain still, huh? How is your identity changed and you're not the one making the change? I think that's a question. I think that's a question that deserves an answer. How come we're never asking these questions? When you hear the Negro talk, I'm just utterly confused. As soon as they start talking, how are we supposed to learn like that? How are we supposed to learn like that? Why you're told you're African. So, Sister Charlene Brown says, she goes, if you look at it, Africans didn't start coming over here until it was a World Trade Fair or something in 1908. That's when Africans started. She said Africans wasn't over here before then. She said, you read their literature, those people say, do not let Africans over here. We trying to eat this up. They was writing about that in the 1700s. They are brothers with Africa. They share the same continent. The continents are not broken into all these little places. It's just two main slabs of land over there and over here. That's it. I mean, where does America separate? From Alaska down to Chile, where does it separate? It's one landmass. Same thing over there. Sure, they may have canals and stuff that they built over the years, but it's still one landmass. How are the people over there all coming over here getting your stuff and you just happy as a lark about it? Explain that. Explain that. Could you go over to Europe and do what the Europeans are doing over here? Could you go over to Europe and do that? And if the answer is no, doesn't that bother you? How come anybody in the world, and I'm sure many of you have mothers who taught you to act like a human, act like you got some sense when you're around people. Say please and thank you. Thank you, ma'am. May I help you with anything? Is there anything I can do? How can I be of assistance? That's you, keeping everything in check, making sure everything is smooth, doing what you do, spending your life energy, making sure everything is okay. That's what we do, right? Everybody. Are you okay? How can I help you? That's how we are. I mean, that's how we used to be. Can I be of assistance? Could you go over to all these other countries and do what they're doing in their countries, what they're doing to you in your country? What's the answer? I didn't see nobody say something, nothing. Huh? Can you go over to any country and do what they're doing over here to the people over there? Could you do that? They're all the same people, y'all. They're the same people, y'all. Just like you, the same people of America. But they got you looking over across the water, thinking you some from where over there. Why did they do that? In 1910, in the 1910s, 19 to 1920, they start calling what you would call the African American. And if you look at what the African American is doing, the African American is trying to change history up, because they can't call somebody like Jack Johnson an African American when he himself never even uttered the term. So this is how they're writing you out of history now. African. What is an African? What is an African? You have to look at those words. What is it? Africans don't call themselves Africans. They call themselves by their nations or whatever they call themselves. What is an African? See, we got to know this because we call ourselves African American. We got to know this stuff. Why they tell you African? You belong to the Romans. You exalt the Romans. Africanus is a Roman general. That's where the term African comes from. This is the cat. Okay, so you remember if you ever study Egyptian history, and when you study Egyptian history, what you'll notice is that when you look at their animals and when you look at their plants and stuff, I mean, they off the hook. The plants are off the hook. I mean, animals, hippopotamuses, all kind of water, birds, every fish, everything. How did that part of the world dry up, turn into a desert? How did that happen? Because you could probably compare Egypt over there with New Orleans here. Wet water, it got those what do you call them places where people live and it's swampy, it's watery. That's how Egypt used to be. How did it dry up? How did it dry up? I mean, this is what I be asking the Hoteps, and they haven't a clue, but they tell you what happened 10,000 years ago. This is what an African American is. This is what African American is taking his children. Listen to them. Listen to them talk. Listen to what cats say. Listen to cats open up schools that's talking about two people who had two different thoughts about things. How are you going to open up an academy named after Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass, and they had both opposing viewpoints? We're not getting that. They can just talk and we just fall for that bullshit. Huh? Are we and people know we're this dumb. You don't call me. No, you're dumb. If you believe anything that comes out of these idiots' mouth, all you gotta do is ask yourself. I mean, damn, if yourself ain't gonna be right with you, anything you ask yourself, you will give yourself the answer. I don't know, my boss didn't tell me that. I know. Huh? See what Big Moon said? How did Africa go from an area the size of Tunisia to become a vast continent? Tell us, Rick, how did Africa go from the area the size of Tunisia? And shit, Tunisia probably the smallest, I don't know. One of the smallest continents on Africa. How did that happen? We don't question that. When we ask the Hoteps that, I don't know. Nobody told me. All that dumb shit we listen to. That's what we want to push on to our children. Charles Johnson says Marcus Garvey was a Mason that was free. So was Frederick Douglass. Okay. So, I mean, so you're saying he's a Mason. So this is what I'm saying. So if a dude is telling me, yo, I got these ships, we going to go to Africa, we going to make shit happen, it should be happening by now. It didn't happen then. I don't care if he was Jesus's right-hand man. We keep acting like these groups are doing something wonderful, and they're not. The world is in the shape of it is because people who keep conspiracies, they don't tell you what's going on. They do what they want to do and get the regular people to go in line with it. And you see the position that we're in. Yeah. They can make you wear a diaper on your face and you push the agenda more than them. So I'm serious. Listen, especially if a Negro got a job. You're letting people take over your lives, the lives of your children. Many of you don't care. I understand. You're gonna let another people from another place come and pimp you like this? These are some questions we're gonna have to start answering, or give the answer if you have it. Why you're told you're African? You're an African because you belong to the Romans. You belong to Rome. Your allegiance is to Rome. Every hit, every breath that you breathe is to Rome. Every breath that you take. Though the hair that you're women, the hair that you're women buy, they want to look like their women. They don't want to look like their grandmamas. And if you look at grandmamas and those pictures when they was in their 20s and 30s, ooh, bad. We don't want to be that. We want to be whatever. Whatever somebody tells you you are, you raise your hand and you be that. And your life, you dedicate your life to that. Imagine that. Imagine that. Indigenous people pledging their allegiance to somewhere else and leaving their lands wide open. What happens to the land? People come take it. That's what all these foreigners coming over to get your shit. And you cool with it. You will sell it to them instead of selling it to your family and y'all doing something with it. That's what the African American does, right or wrong. So this is where you at. This where you at. They call you African. You got nothing to do with that continent. If you was Africans, these Africans coming over here, they would take DNA tests with you to point exactly who you are. They don't do that. And you don't question it. La, 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 la. I can do whatever I want. Yeah. That's us. Anybody can tell you anything. Right or wrong. Right or wrong. They can tell you you got 3 nipples on your chest and you will count out 3. You will make one up in your mind. Right or wrong. This is the African American. So the African American has been totally disconnected from the land. Totally disconnected from the land. So they're the ones who mainly live in the city. So it's like the Africans that come over here, they're coming getting your resources so they can build mansions back at home. Where you living in the projects here, you're comfortable there. You don't even, you give away all your resources, all your money, all your pussy, dick, whatever you got, you make sure everybody has it. You don't care. It's not taught that you care. You're not taught to care. You're just taught to be a dummy. Because that's what you see. That's what you see. That's what you see. How many sisters have you met in your life that was in love with an African who had 5 wives back at home? Yes, she didn't understand it. Yeah, that's what we spend our energy on, because we can't even you get 10 people in a group, it'll be an argument. How come these places where all these Negroes ran from back in the day, how come we're not reclaiming those places, making cool places for us to live in, making communities, creative communities for us to live in and do some shit that we know we can do? How come we're not doing that? How come the black colleges that you pay millions and say your mind terrible if you, what are we doing? What are we doing? Seriously. Seriously, what are we doing? See, one of the things that gets me about the African American, they don't listen. They don't listen to what a person says, because when a person talks, he should you anything you say, a 5-year-old kid should be able to understand it. It should be that simple. Anything you say, a 5-year-old kid should be like, I got you. Negroes try to use these words, perpendicular, axiom, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, so you can hide that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Please stop doing that. You're slowing up. You're slowing up the learning curve. If you don't know nothing, don't say nothing. Learn. You have all kind of cats. A good resource, and these are people like him, is that cat Joe Brown. Why? Because he lived through an important part of history, and being that he was, he could tell you another view that he sympathizes with you. He comes from you. He's not that kind of asshole. He gives you the 411. Ask him. You got people all around you like that. Ask them. Think about it. Would you want that to happen to your family? It's like a brother, one of the veterans, homeless veterans on the street. He told me, I talk to him all the time. He goes, man, I asked him, I said, so when did it hit you that you was doing something messed up? She said, man, I was over there. He said, and one of them Afghanistani women said, what if somebody did that to your mother? And he said, he said when she said that, he didn't even know where he was no more. When she said, what if somebody did that to your mama? And he thought about that. And he said everything just changed. And we don't teach that. We'll go kill people for other people. And Muhammad Ali told your ass 50 years ago, don't do that. And you still do it. And you think something's good gonna come out of it, and it's not. You got to keep paying that debt because you keep making it, and you don't know it. So that's on you. People can only put it out there, and it's been put out there millions of times. It used to be put out in so-called African American. This is when they were called black. It was put out in their music. If anybody know the music of the 70s, the funk, the soul, that R&B that was coming out the Negro community, it's probably the most bought music ever. Because why? Those groups like Ohio Players, Earth, Wind, and Fire, they were just reincarnation of those Duke Ellington bands back in the day. Those Count Basie orchestras, they were just a smaller version of that. That's all they were. That's all they were. So the reason you're told you're Africa, so you can exalt, you can give all your, and a lot of people done it, and let them go ahead. They can do what they want to do. But the ones of you who don't, find out where your folks is from. Your folks probably owned acreage that can be done, that something can be done with. But you have to connect to them. Because I know you hear them calling you. You can play like you don't. You can play like you don't, but they calling you. Because that's what you hear when the cataclysm strikes. And when I say cataclysm on North America, you can see that there's plenty of cataclysmic events just here in North America. You can see down in Florida and the Caribbean. That's cataclysmic. You can see Phoenix, Arizona. It sits in a crater. That's cataclysmic. All over the world, that's happened because this planet is just not milk and cookies. Things happen because the planet get out of alignment with the solar system. When you messing up, you got to get put back in check. So when they talk about Atlantis, there's Hawaii. If you drop the water level 500 feet, 250 feet, what's going to be there? And these kind of things happen to the planet because the people aren't in balance on the planet. The people aren't in alignment with the planet. So, just as the people of America, I'll tell you this: if you're African, if you're Greek, if you're Hebrew, if you're all of these things, go to those places and be that. Get back into your place. Everything else, you're just confusing people and wasting time. Being something that you're not is the surest thing to make sure you never get what you're supposed to get. You're called an African because you support and you exalt those Romans. Check out Scipio Africanus. Check him out. And that'll give you further proof of why they call you African. You guys have a good day tomorrow. I hope no snowstorm hit you. I hope you're warm wherever you are. And we'll see you next time. Peace.